We've also put in specialized areas in lots of care homes that keep people who are all qualified for long-term care but have very different needs in long-term care. It increases not just safety but a sense of safety.
Smoking meth in care homes shouldn't be a thing, but unfortunately under the socialist NDP government in British Columbia, it is. And it's a story that hasn't gotten as much attention as it should. There's this Time Colonist article which talks about it, and a video that went viral on X. It was posted by the Conservative Party of B.C. candidate Mike Harris for Langford Highlands because his mother is one of the long-term care patients being subjected to it. Take a look at this clip.
Hi guys, Mike Harris here. I'm standing in front of the Summit in Victoria. It's a long-term care facility that my mom has Alzheimer's and she's in here. 2 days ago, the Times Colonist just put out an article regarding people openly smoking meth in the hallway and in their rooms and exposing not only the other patients, but the healthcare workers. So we have more of the NDP rhetoric. This has just got to stop. We can't keep going this way. People are in jeopardy. And this program that they have in place inside the Summit just doesn't make sense. Let's make an end to it. October 19th, let's vote for the Conservative Party of BC, Mike Harris and Langford, and let's stop the craziness that the NDP is doing out there with everything that they're doing.
I'm Drea Humphrey with Rebel News, and Mr. Harris is joining me today to talk about more about what he saw when he investigated the matter, as well as how Island Health gave him a letter finally responding and giving some information about what the heck is going on.
Yeah, so actually I went down to the Summit and I thought to myself, well, I gotta go see this. So at the same time, I'm gonna go visit my mom. I'm there, of course. I drive up and lo and behold, there is two people in wheelchairs and they're both smoking probably meth, could be crack. I don't know what they're smoking, but they're passing it back and forth right in front of the doors. And I thought to myself, is this how it's been happening? Why did I miss this? But then it came back to me that I'd seen some things once before, not putting much into it because, you know, when you go in, it's not always that I go through the front doors. I'm going into the underground parking lot and I'm coming through the elevator. So this was kind of one of the very few times that I went to the front. So I was a little bit shocked. At the same time, it just reconfirmed everything that I just read. And of course, all those emotions come back again and you start getting angry.
Now, we talked a little bit off camera. Your mother isn't in a position to be able to weigh into this. So you are her eyes and ears and you're the heart for her. So that must have been so difficult to see. And it was after that Island Health put out this letter. I'm going to read some of it as we put it on the screen. It says, in 2022, suggesting perhaps that's how long this has been happening, we saw the need to find better ways to support eligible long-term care residents with complex care needs that differ from the elderly or people with dementia who are typically cared for in traditional long-term care homes. Many people have greatly benefited from the supports provided by the Special Population Unit, but we also know that living in a traditional long-term care home with specialized care needs can have its challenges. We have added extra staff to support the SPU since opening, and we have been working hard to address any concerns and will increase security presence around the clock. What's fascinating to me there is that they say we will increase security after you do your video instead of we've already increased security. What are your thoughts about getting that letter only after you took the video and some of what's written in there?
Well, I when I received the letter, I thought to myself, well, here's damage control. Because now the cat's out of the bag and they can't cover it up. So the transparency that should have been there is now there, but has that actually been put out there public, or is that just going to just going to me, or is that going to everybody that has somebody in the care facility? So again, no transparency, because this letter could have only been directed to me. I have no idea if the rest of the people know in there or not. But it was a little alarming and not surprising. When I saw it, I thought, oh, of course, you're going to tell me now. You've had all the opportunity to tell me, but now you're going to tell me now.
Yes, I agree. It's definitely looking like damage control there. What have you heard since that video went out? It went somewhat viral. Have other people said, hey, I'm aware of this, or my family's in there? What's the feedback like?
Well, I did get a lot of feedback here, but I did get a lot of feedback also from the adjacent community in Nanaimo that they also have a facility there that's happening as well. So again, people were very surprised. I have had the candidate for our party reach out to me and say, wow. And Gwen Mahoney also contacted me saying, I just cannot believe that this is going on. And of course, her video was a little bit different, but at the same time, almost coincided with what's going on, where they're not telling the public what is going on with the substance abuse issue that we're dealing with.
Well, that's right. I believe it's around 5 months ago, there was just a little bit mentioned about this happening in the Nanaimo hospital. And I'm assuming that's the same one, or I think it is, where your colleague, Gwen O'Mahony, who's running in that riding, exposed that taxpayers are paying for a vending machine that is giving out free crack pipes and instructions on how to become an addict and free coke snorting kits right in front of the hospital. Well, months back, our health minister, Adrian Dix, had this to say about the active drug use happening there.
We've also put in specialized areas in lots of care homes that keep people who are all qualified for long-term care but have very different needs in long-term care. It increases not just safety but a sense of safety.
So what do you think, Mr. Harris? Is that enough, separating them in some sort of pod or what have you in the same building, where in the same entrances, perhaps the hallways as well, as it has been suggested by this article here? Is that enough? And what would the Conservative Party do any differently if they are to form government?
Well, Drea, I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the things is it's not a pod. So they are in the general population of the whole hospital. When you walk through the doors, they are outside, they are inside, they're in the hallways. Plus the elderly actually come down quite often during the week, and they have a room right next door to the front entrance that they do happy hour and other events that they do there. So they're not segregated. They are in amongst each other. So the one thing about with my mom is she's not even aware what is, like, she doesn't know what's going on because she's at that situation in her disease. But what would we do differently would be to be transparent. I tell you, one of the things is I still have a hard time understanding that prior to having my mom enter into this facility, and even after, during the consultation about the facility itself, never was there any conversation whatsoever about what this ward is really about. And, it's just mind-boggling that this is going on without our knowledge. And when it affects you personally, you're numb. You don't know what to say. So transparency is probably something that should have been done, prior to us admitting her into the facility. But at the same time, nothing was done even in the consultation that once we admitted her into there. So as the Conservative Party, what we would be doing, of course, in this situation, there should have been true transparency prior to me even doing anything with my mom. But again, going back to everything that we're standing for, there needs to be recovery. There were places where people actually can recover, and there is nothing being provided by the NDP at the current time. And I'll tell you, we put ourselves in a position as the public where we start asking ourselves, what is the problem that the NDP cannot see that these people need to have a place to go to? So it makes us all numb to what's happening out there.
Well, there's a lot of numbness going on. And I should add that recovery places need to also be safe from other active users as well, so that they're not backsliding into that. But yeah, numbness all around with what has been deemed acceptable in BC under the NDP government, whether it has been the decriminalizing drug use near parks and then recriminalizing, or safer supply being diverted into the hands of children. I mean, the list goes on. Thanks for joining us to shed light on this important issue.
Thanks, Drea. Thanks for having me.
At Rebel News, we've consistently brought you the other side of the story, exposing the extent of the decay and chaos in our cities and how desperately new policies need to be in place to fix it. If you agree, go to our special website called fixourcities.com and sign and share our petition there, demanding that politicians make a change. And if you appreciate our reports, you can also chip in a few bucks by donating to help keep them possible while you're there.